Suck it now. Now it's a party, baby. Now it's a party. Hello. Welcome. Let's lower these tunes courtesy of Haran DeMarco. If you guys didn't know, we have the most talented panel on all of YouTube, okay? Those sounds that you just heard are yours, ours truly, by Haran DeMarco. Hi, how you doing? Hi.
It happened, baby.
Okay, that was Haran DeMarco on the instruments. Case you didn't know. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of On the Block with Jen. We got some fireworks tonight. We are, but I like fireworks. I don't know about you guys. So I am your favorite devil's advocate, Jen. You can reach me on all social media platforms. On the Block with Jen. I am not hard to find. Mama is not hiding, okay? On the Block with Jen all across the universe, and especially on the Block with Jen Cash App. If you want to support Mama and the show and help Mama keep the church lights on the Block with Jen Cash App as well. If you're catching the replay and I'm doing dishes and I get your Cash App, oh my God, my nipples get hard because I'm like, you were thinking about me and I'm not even on air. Okay, so that's if you want to be discreet. A lot of people don't like other people seeing where their money is going unless you want me to tell the world that you are a sponsor. I'll be more than happy to, but that's between you and I, the Cash App. Now, if you don't give a damn who sees where your money goes, by all means, super chat. We will grab your comment, throw it up here, and we will dissect. With that said, let's get started because we have a special guest in the house tonight, okay? The official Ty Rivera, the best LGBTQ comedian in the world. He is here tonight. And Ty Rivera, one of my favorite people, he moved away, okay? So, my heart is still chipped a little bit, my little heart of coal. But I'm glad we got this internet shit and we can keep in contact. Ty Rivera has a phenomenal YouTube page, which has blown up. So proud of you, Ty. I'm like, yo, if anybody could do it in a couple months, it's Ty Rivera.
Thank you. It's the power of being a pick-me.
Listen, and we know that power because we've run into the pick-me's on the YouTube streets, man. And it's been a war. So welcome. So happy to see you here. So we're going to jump right into this right after my panel introduces themselves. So you know where to follow everybody. And like I said, following people is currency. If you ain't got no money in your pockets, click a follow. While my panel introduces themselves, I'm going to go ahead and put this on subscribers only because a lot of you like to come talk shit and not subscribe, but you got to subscribe to talk shit here. Lily.
I'm Lily of YB Limited. That's the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited. It should be spelled on the screen, but it's the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and yes, here as well on YouTube, right there. All right. I am a makeup artist / model / actor / many things. But I am also a host here on the block with Jen and my team.
And I am Haran DeMarco, shit talker, troublemaker, multi-instrumentalist, producer, reform Pookie. And you can find me as Dangerous DeMarco on IG. And you can find me under Haran DeMarco under Spotify and Apple Music.
Hello, everyone. I'm No Saint. You can find me right here on YouTube, No Saint. Please subscribe. I haven't checked, but I think I'm at 23 subscribers. I need to get to 50 to start going live. Maybe take you downtown, do a little dance, yada, yada, yada. Also, you can find me on the IG. That's how we say it, these older white men, the IG. And that is Saint No Saint, st.no saint. And I'll hand it over to Mr. David.
Hey, I am here. I am queer. I am Mr. David Hand. Spell out the Mr. or you won't find me on Instagram. All right, same name on all social media, but Instagram's my jam. And I'm a runway model and a recovering corporate. What am I? Recovering corporate creative director. I used to do that. Yeah, recovery's a bitch. And I'm happy to be on the block tonight.
And we are happy to have you, Mr. David Hand. All right, guys. So chat, hold me down. I dropped the link. If you want to come up and argue with any of us, we are here for it. Come at us, bro. Okay. All you have to do is show your face. We don't argue with avatars up here. If you're afraid to say it with your face, you should not be saying it here. Okay. Go somewhere else. But the link is in the chat if you want to come up and talk your shit, or talk your shit in the chat where it's safe. All right, guys. So let's jump right into this, because I don't know how long we have Mr. Ty Rivera for. He's very, very busy. How long do we have with you, darling?
You know, I'm going to be on for as long as I can. I don't have anywhere that I have to be officially, so there's not a hard out, but at some point I am going to have to eat. So there's
okay, absolutely. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So usually what we do here is we get into the fluff before we get into the meat and taters, but you are here and I appreciate your time. So we're going to get into the meat and taters and we'll leave the fluff for dessert. Okay. So the first topic tonight is something that you spoke about, Ty, which is what they were chanting at the latest Pride Parade. Lily, you attended the latest Pride with the mayor of New York City. So you was all in there. Did you happen to hear the chant at all? Were you anywhere near when they were saying, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children? Were you anywhere near that?
But I did get a few hecklers, but you know, it is what it is. But no, I didn't get that. I didn't hear that.
Okay. And what were the hecklers saying, basically? Like, keep it 100. Let the people know what happens.
Oh, pretty much calling us sinners. I mean, they're on my page right now. Let my ass have it. They've been lighting me up for the last few days. But I'm pretty sure Ty is used to that, so he understands. But yeah, they just been lighting me up, calling me a sinner, calling us sinners, or you know, why do you have to be out loud with it? Just be queer and shut the fuck up.
Okay.
And you know, all of those things. You know, typical.
Is that
stuff.
like shut up and dribble, like shut up and queer?
Yeah. Nothing original. I'm always looking for something original. Like no original like insult. I haven't heard one in like 30 years. So I get a little bit disappointed. So
okay. I know the feeling. I hate when people parrot talking points.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you have to say? Welcome, George Cook. All right, guys. So I'm going to play a video. This is a video that Ty had some commentary on, and Ty has a very interesting point of view, and I'd love for him to share it with us tonight. I always have the most surprising panel. Every time you think we're going to go a certain way, we go the other way, and you guys are like mouth agape, ready to catch a dick. I always say that, mouth agape, ready to catch a dick. All right, guys. So let's watch this video, and then we will dissect.
Ooh.
This literally happened at Gay Pride, and this is there's some layers to this. Let's listen to this.
This one at the New York one, or
yes.
like somewhere? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so there you have it. There's video proof. That way, no one will say that didn't happen. I was at Pride for 5 hours, and that didn't happen. So there goes the video. Also, I know we make fun of the letters being added every year, but they actually adding letters and numbers. The LGBTQ is now 2S LGBTQIA plus. So keep up, mi gente. They literally added 2S to the beginning. I don't know what that means. I'm sure you guys will let us know. Okay, two-spirited. Okay, two-spirited LGBTQIA plus. So they are adding letters or numbers often, and then also adding colors to the flag. I happen to like the original flag, but you know what I'm saying? I don't have a dog in the fight. I just have people I love that are in the fight. I don't have a dog in the fight, though. So, you know, it doesn't matter if they go to 20 colors. It's not my fight, right?
Sorry.
Go ahead, Ty, please.
Yeah, I have a problem with the colors because to me, they're nothing but lip service. The LGBT community doesn't listen to brown and black people when it really comes down to it. So it's nice that you decided to put those colors on and made the flag uglier for the sake of I don't know who. But at the same time, when you don't listen to us, it really doesn't matter what colors you have on the flag.
Amen, Ty. And frankly, in terms of the visual mess, as someone who is a recovering 40-year corporate creative director, the original flag was an icon. It was a metaphor, but the world doesn't understand metaphors anymore. If we are not directly addressing every single individual in the community personally and by name, no one's going to be happy. And I find the 2S to be offensive to four-spirit people like myself.
Oh.
A plot twist.
That's for me.
Already.
The old straight white guy here. Can somebody tell me what two-spirited means?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. That just means that you're in touch with the feminine and masculine. You identify with the feminine and masculine energies. But that is actually, to be honest with you, that is like the original term from indigenous cultures from all over the world, right? So when people say, oh, gay is wrong and this is wrong and da-da-da, and like we just came out of nowhere, honestly, two-spirit is what they, and that was, it wasn't a derogatory term. They were actually revered in indigenous cultures, whether it's indigenous American, African, Asian, like, you know, they were more revered because they were in touch with both energies, masculine and feminine.
So it's more or less like androgyny, right? You know,
pretty much you could put,
okay.
Yeah, I also, you know, I grew up in Arizona and we have a big Native American population there. And I have a problem with that too, because LGBT hasn't really always cared about natives either. So to me, it's kind of like cultural appropriation in its truest sense. It's like, you don't pay attention to any of the people that you're claiming to represent right now. It's just kind of, it's almost like, to me, holding up a human shield and just being like, okay, let's put the natives out front and make it seem, because what you said is true. Like, it is more of like not a derogatory and in some cases somewhat sacred thing. And so turning it into that is kind of like turning that into a shield and being like, after all this time of not paying attention to natives, now all of a sudden we want to use natives. And when I say we, I mean the royal we, obviously not us, the panel.
But isn't like the whole LGBT movement itself an extension of white supremacy anyway? It's just like another arm of white supremacy, but then they mask it with all of these other things. They're like, look, we're doing good in the world. Look, we're including you. But in reality, it's really not. I mean, have I gotten trickle down effects? You know, trickle down benefits? Hell yeah. Right. But they're not thinking about me primarily. I'm not the person they're thinking about when they're thinking about the LGBT.
Whoa. You, Lily, expound on that. So the LGBTQ is just a branch of white supremacy. That's a hell of a statement.
Yeah. I mean, brown and black people are not in mind typically when it comes to the movement in general, right? We get trickle down benefits, right? But we're not the first people that they're thinking of. It's like, even like the Me Too movement, you could compare it to that in the sense. It's the same type of situation. You know, white supremacy will extend its arm in many places, but mask it as something. It's mask it as caring and helping and, you know, inclusion and all of that good stuff.
It's so often co-opted by well-meaning whites, and you know, I remember back in the day, if you know, the blue square with the yellow equal sign was the symbol of the HRC, the Human Rights Campaign, and they were constantly being accused of being just a white think tank in DC. You know, yes, influential in getting marriage equality on the map and everything like that, but nonetheless not really recognizing black and brown populations. And that's everywhere. You know, you look at remember that Stonewall movie a couple of years ago?
You know, if I can just throw this out here just to the panel to get your take, I'm almost thinking that LGBTQ and then whatever they want to add on, it's almost like that whole movement's being diluted now. It's being the essence of what it originally started out as. You know, and I'm old enough to remember, you know, ACT UP and, you know, and groups like that, you know, it started out first, you know, is to just acknowledge that we're here. And then it was to tolerate us. And then it was to accept us. And then you finally, it's kind of like, as I see it, you made progress here, and here, but now it's starting to get to the fringe elements. I don't know. Like, I got to be honest, like two-spirit, I'm trying to wrap my head around how that fits maybe y'all have more time to talk to me about how this works in.
Well, I think the
culture.
reason that
As you add
Two-Spirit,
more stuff, it's just the whole essence of what you were about originally is being lost. That's just me.
I personally think that overall the idea of Two-Spirit is good. I mean, like I think that the way it's being used right now, I'm not liking that. But
Right.
as far as acknowledging that, I am 100% down for that. But then also when it comes to the movement, you're right. I've talked about this before because we started off as just wanting tolerance, and then we moved on to wanting acceptance, and then we moved on to wanting encouragement. And nobody owes anybody encouragement. And that's where I sometimes get a little bit caught up because it's like, I don't have to rah anybody. And I don't expect anybody to rah me. I just need you to stay out of my way
Right.
and let me do what I need to do. As long as you're not trying to kill me and you're letting me have the same rights as every other American, that's the most I need from you. All the rest to me is unnecessary, and it's not stuff I want to argue with people about. If you don't feel like you belong in certain spaces, maybe you don't, maybe you do. But either way, that's for you to figure out. I'm not going to go to the group every time I feel like I'm not welcomed somewhere. To me, that's
Right.
kind of an abuse of it all. And I do get tired of when it comes to the white LGBT, because there's plenty of white LGBT that really are well-intentioned. I don't think all of them are ill-intentioned. But my problem with a lot of white LGBT is they'll get mad at a person like me for expressing an idea they don't like, and then they'll throw Marsha P. Johnson in my face. And I'm like, well, why isn't Marsha P. Johnson featured anywhere when you look at LGBT or gay pride advertising? It's always young white twinks or white muscle queens that are featured in all the advertising for all the different prides. It's never anybody that looks like Marsha P. Johnson. And really, if they like, one of the reasons I think that they don't want to actually talk about Marsha P. Johnson was because Marsha P. Johnson had the type of attitude that it was like, if you're not paying my bills, I don't care about your opinions. So like a lot of what they're doing right now with trying to force everybody to accept everything and be super nice about everything, that wouldn't be in the spirit of Marsha P. Johnson anyway. And I think that's the reason they don't really want to talk about her. Which if you're not familiar, I don't remember your
Marsha P.
name.
Johnson, I was going to ask you, who is she? You kind of gave me a clue, kind of like somebody who's in the conservative libertarian circles. Ayn Rand basically was like, hey, this is what I believe. You don't like it, screw you.
She's a black, what would have been, I think, well, see, there's a little bit of debate because the terminology was different back then. Like back then they would say transvestite. And so some people say that she would have been what would be considered transsexual or transgender by today's standards, but just that was the terminology from back then, because transvestite would be by today's standards a cross-dresser, which is what it always would have been, just they didn't have the language back then for transgender or transsexual. And so but she identified as a transvestite or a sissy, and she was by a lot of people considered like the mother of what we had now as gay pride, Stonewall. She was a huge part of that. She was an activist. Her and Puerto Rican trans woman. I don't remember her first name. Rivera is her last name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too. Damn, I'll come back to it because
So let me ask a question, because Lily, you described the WATs, right, as white supremacy, right, a branch of white supremacy. But then David, you described it as well-meaning white folk. Those are two different people, right? White supremacists and well-meaning white folks are two different demographics. So which one is it?
That's the problem. You got two different things going on, but it's just like the black community, and we're being conflated in one, and everyone looking at us as, because the most ignorant, the most ridiculous will always be the loudest in the bunch. They are the ones that are going to get the attention, and then everyone's going to be like, oh, you're and that's why I hate labels, because once you take the label on, then you also take on all of that as well, right? So yes, you have two different things going on. You have well-meaning white people, right? Who are down for the cause and all of that good stuff. But then you also have the part that's been co-opted, right? You have a lot of agitators out there.
Mhm.
And to me, that's what is, because there's a lot of misinformation that's being put out as well. It's really, really crazy. And I'm actually doing a lot of research on this so I can bring um this in more coherent way about the misinformation that's being put out, because a lot of this stuff is not us, down to the, well, we'll get to that because I know this is what this is about, but down to the whole
Mhm.
children thing, but we'll
Yeah.
come to that later.
And well-meaning whites can be supremacists, or they can be, you know, they have the intentions of doing good without even, while being clueless about Black and brown inclusivity and the movements. So, and you know, doing things that they think are working to the benefit of the movement at large, when they're not. They're really just benefiting the Caucasians.
Interesting, because I do find that annoying sometimes when I see white people, like they overcompensate to help the colored folk, and I'm like, you're doing too much, and you don't know what at least do some fucking research prior to you coming in with the big white flag. So I understand that.
I very rarely meet white LGBT that can't tell me what's best for me. It's a real rarity.
Listen, I just have some questions. Listen, you guys are in the movement, so I'm gonna take what you guys are saying as on face value, that, you know, when it comes to the white supremacy. But when I hear things like, you know, they put the white twinks up there to and sell stuff, my first reaction is, what's the majority population and who they're trying to target? Because they're trying to make, advertisers are trying to make money. So if they can, if the majority would be Black and brown people, it would be Black and brown people up on the advertisement. So when I hear that, that's what I think about. That's one thing. The other thing is, when you say white supremacists, that's a blanket statement, and I don't know if we have enough time, and that's why I say I take it at face value that this is going on. But I'd like to know examples of this, like this. Is it a purposely done thing? What's the examples of the movement being, you know, run by, I don't know if you said run by white supremacists, but or a branch
I
of
don't
white
think
supremacy?
a lot of it's being done purposely. I think some of these people truly do have good intentions, and they don't even realize that in a lot of cases that's where they're coming from, and that's the reason that they think they can tell brown and Black people what's best for them. You know, I don't think it's being done purposely, and I agree with you to a certain degree as far as the advertising goes. But really, you have beautiful Latino and Black men, Latino and Black women, or Latino
You
and
do.
Black women that could also be used for advertising. It's just who they choose to put on the advertising, who they're choosing, who they want, because there shouldn't be a reason that you have to have a whole separate Black pride, which a lot of, you know, non-Black people or non-ethnic people don't even know about. But there's also a Black pride that's separate. Or when you're in LA, there's a Latino pride, there's a Black pride, and then there's just the regular pride. Well, the white pride is the regular pride. You know what I mean? Like that's
Atlanta's the same way. Atlanta has
New
two
York has
prides as
Black
well.
pride. We have Black pride here.
Oh, I didn't know nothing about it.
Come
Thank
to
you for
Coney
letting
Island,
me know.
babe.
I'm today's years old. I'll be there.
So, speaking of labels, when you hear something like, "Hey, we just added 2S LGBTQIA plus," do you understand when the average person is like, "You're fucking ridiculous now. No one's gonna remember that." I know I am
think it's
Latina.
ridiculous.
I am Latina, and you know, even when I told you guys before, when they throw that, no, it's Latinx this year. No, now it's Latin A. I'm like, fuck all of you. I'm not gonna. I don't. This is the second half of my life. I'm about to be 50. Fuck you and your labels and the letters that you add, and that's me across the board. However, if someone in the LGBTQ community were to hear me say, fuck your 2S and your plus A, I'm just gonna love the people I love, and if they love me back, great. If not, cool. What do you feel when people are saying, now you're getting fucking ridiculous? Is it not a little ridiculous? Like, when will the letters end? Well, when will the numbers end? How do you feel about that?
I feel like it's been ridiculous for a minute now,
Mhm.
right? So this is the thing about me, and I said this about the whole Tyler Perry thing yesterday. I personally, right? And this is my personal shit. I don't put this on nobody else, but I personally outweigh things and see the pros versus the cons, right? When it comes to anything that, like any community that I'm just a part of by default. I'm black. I can't help it being black. I'm American. That's where I was born. I'm queer. I can't help that, right? So these are communities that I'm a part of, right? But in certain communities, like in every community, I'm going to see things that I don't agree with, right? But if the positives are far outweighing the negatives, I'm gonna shut the fuck up, right? And let everybody live. But when the negatives start to outweigh the positives, now I gotta say something because I don't want to be bunched in with the ridiculousness. Because to me, it got ridiculous a long time ago, and I stayed quiet for a long time. But then it was just like, you all, I don't even know what's going on now. I can't keep up. I can't keep up with the pronouns. I can't keep up with the colors of the flag. I can't keep up with all the letters and the it's just so much now. And it's to the point where when we became beyond reproach bothered me because I feel like I grew up in a family where nobody's safe. Nobody was safe. My family are like comedians, and nobody was safe, right? And it was never like, and so I guess that's just how I have tough skin because that's the kind of family I grew up in. So I'm just like, listen, if it's true, it's true. If it's not, it's not. Keep it moving. So I don't know. That's my issue.
I
Yeah, I
recall,
also go ahead.
I recall Todd was saying something or other that essentially there is a divide in some sense of whites and black and browns within the community. My question is, do you, Lily and Ty, do you feel that they only uh, grab you from the sidelines when it's convenient for them, when they're trying to make some sort of political point, when they're trying to do some dog and pony show shit? Do you think they push you guys to the forefront?
They've learned
Some.
not to grab me because I'll say something they don't like. So I don't get grabbed anymore. But yeah, I've said that a lot. That the only
I
time that
get
they
that.
call on
I
black
get the sense.
But
That's
the
key.
queer community is a microcosm of, the non-queer community. It's the same
Right.
thing. You have
Same thing.
a overwhelming tide of whites, well-intentioned or supremacists, right? I mean, it's the same thing because we are something like 20 something percent of the population, right? It's just a microcosm of the whole deal. Going back to the whole, I think it's all gone too far, and I'll go back. I think the flag is a great example of this thing that started as a metaphor. I hate the word queer, but it's sort of an umbrella term that works for me when I talk about anyone who isn't straight. So that original 6-color pride flag was a metaphor for a spectrum. We are a spectrum of people of different sexualities, of different ethnicities, abilities, sizes, etc., etc., etc. And the fact that we don't understand metaphors means that now we just have to add letters, add stripe colors so that we acknowledge literally everyone. And one day those letters will spell out the names of every single queer person on the planet. And that's when the people who are behind that will be happy, in my opinion. I think
No,
they're
they won't.
fighting the wrong battle. Well, yes, they won't. But
They won't.
they're also fighting the wrong battle. You know what, Lily? I'll go back to when you and I met. I respectfully asked your pronouns, and you said, David, I have much bigger things to worry about than my pronouns.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of what's going on right now is why we're losing ground as a community. Because for a minute there, we were coming off as relatable, and
Right.
that was getting a lot of stuff done. Was because
Strong.
people
Yes, it
were like,
was.
okay, I can understand this, I get it. This person is a woman, I get that. Nobody had a problem with that. Then it turned into, I'm a woman, but I have a beard and I'm not doing anything to myself. I'm a person that basically looks like me, except for I claim to be a woman, and I want to go into the women's bathroom. And then that's when people started being like, no, that's not going to work out. And then that turned into, well, clearly you're transphobic and you hate us. And then that spiraled into a lot of where we're at now.
So
And
are you
people are
saying
just like, yeah, we're not going along with everything you guys say. And exactly like Lily was saying, like we should have never tried to take on this stance of being above reproach. And I think that's where brown and black people have no choice but to be a little more level-headed in this, because you try to tell a black or brown grandparent what they're going to say and how they're going to talk and what pronouns they're going to use, you're going to get told right away where you I said told, but that is more like what's going to happen. Yeah, for sure. You know, I'm not going to tell my mom anything. You know, I can ask, I can discuss, I can run by, but I'm
Run
not,
by.
yeah,
Run by. Can I run this by you?
I was gonna bring that up. That I think what we've come to now, I think it's bad marketing strategy. If you're trying to get the message out there to the greater population. Now, if it's just a club and you know what it means and nobody on the out, then that's one thing. But I agree that because when you're coming up now with the two-spirit, I'd never heard that. When you're the pronouns, I mean, anything that is going to make the general public have to sit there and think for more than 2 seconds, it's probably not going to go over that well. So I think right now, like with the flag you're talking about, I think it's bad marketing. I think somebody needs to take over that the
CMO. We need a new CMO.
The pride. Yes.
So you're saying you guys just wanted too much too fast, or just too much period? Because I get it, you know what I mean? Like say if I'm on, you know what I mean, shaky ground with a particular person, and we finally got to a place where like, okay, where it's tolerable, and I come by the house and maybe I ask for something, and it's, yeah, we'll have a cup of sugar, and you know, be like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why don't you? You using those light bulbs over there? Yeah, maybe. Hey, man, that's a sweet ride you got. Can I borrow your fucking?
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
Off my post before I shoot you. You know?
Yeah.
I get it. That's what
But let me, Ty, I know I've seen the exchanges with you on social media that are very, very interesting with you and people from the LGBTQIA plus community. And you guys get pretty, it's a verbal fisticuffs. You have to see what happens on Ty Rivera's social medias. It is really, truly profound. And I was shocked because it seems from the outside looking in, it's just infighting. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought this was all one kumbaya group, which I found out this week that kumbaya doesn't mean what we think it means. But that's another topic.
That's the shocker.
Right, that's the shocker. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
What I was thinking.
It does not mean. It does not mean. Right. It does not. Yeah, you got to research. It doesn't mean what we thought it means or how we use it. So Ty, I see a lot of that. I see a lot of trans people arguing with you. I see a lot of non-binary people argue with you, and they argue hard. They've called you anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ. They talk about your political stance, which is shocking. If you want to share that, that'd be interesting for you to share. But what is the most hate you get from the trans, non-binary community, where they literally, I've seen them literally call you anti-LGBTQ, self-loathing, etc. What is it that you're saying and doing why they get so fucking angry?
Because I am very open about the fact that I am really not down with transgender at all. Transsexual, I'm 100% down with. Transgender, no, because transgender means basically anything. And in a lot of cases, if you look at trans people, well, what's calling itself trans people now, which would be transgender, in a lot of cases, they've made no changes to themselves. They don't even want to live as the other gender or as the other sex. What they want is just to identify as something. And now suddenly you're supposed to be a part of my community, and not only a part of my community, but the loudest part of my community, fully representing the entire community. And I grew up with transsexual people that are like the old school down. Like, I get reported all the time, which I've learned not to argue with these people in certain ways, like the way I really argue, because I don't argue, I read is what I do. And I learned that from transsexual women. So I'm going to hurt your feelings is what's going to happen. And I'm going to remind you that really you're just a white girl named Amber that would otherwise be nothing special, other than the fact that you now identify as transgender. And I don't think this is fair, especially to transsexual people, because I will see transgender people like on my post saying, literally, I had one transgender person saying that Otherwise, just look like a white man. And I'm not being silly at all. He was just an everyday white man. He identifies as transgender because he's non-binary, and he's saying, not only are we willing to argue these points, we're willing to fight to the death. Oh, and I'm just like, well, that's not the kind of thing you say, because you're getting a lot of people that don't necessarily feel that way about it. Because the transsexual people I know just want to live their lives as who they are and live in their truth. Like, that's all they want. They're not looking to fight to the death about anything. Really, they're trying to avoid fights. They're trying to avoid arguments. Yes. They're just trying to live their lives.
Over 35,
so, yeah. So when you're doing this and you're saying this and you're otherwise what could be just an everyday white man, and that's the life you're going to go back to, you're basically writing a check that transsexual people might end up having to cash on the bus or in public. And it's like, I've even termed it throwing rocks and then hiding your trans, because that's what you're doing. You know, you're able to go back to your life. Like, I don't start a lot of trouble for, and I'll get into my politics and stuff like that a little bit, but I don't start a lot of trouble for other gay people, because the number of tattoos I have and the number of piercings I have, I'm not going to be the gay they come after if I start trouble for the gays. I'm not going to be the one to suffer the consequence. They're going to go after the more flamboyant looking, and that's who's going to have to cash the check that I write. So I do, even though some people get mad at certain things I say, I am careful as far as what I'm saying and as far as what I'm committing to on behalf of the community. And as far as like my politics go, I voted for Donald Trump, and I will be voting for DeSantis if he's running. Well, if he actually ends up getting the nomination, we'll see what happens. But that's who I really want, because I do think that a lot of this ridiculousness has to stop. And I am, when it came to Donald Trump, it's like, I thought Hillary was a dangerous choice, and I thought Donald Trump was a good placeholder, because when a person's going to tell you everything that they're going to do and then get stopped all the time anyway, which made him very ineffective, I thought he was a pretty safe placeholder. Yeah, he said a lot of things that people didn't like, but as far as being able to actually get things done, he wasn't able to get a lot done because he was too busy tweeting about it, and then everybody knew what steps they had to take strategically to stop him from doing what he said he was going to do.
Hey, Ty, let me ask you something. It's really interesting you brought up about Donald Trump. Did you get the impression, I voted for him too, and for the same reasons I didn't, Hillary, no way, and then this last time with Joe Biden, no way. It's the lesser of two evils argument. Did you find that people, when you said, hey, I'm voting for Donald Trump, I've actually had this kind of get hurled at me on this panel for it called a racist, a bigot, a transphobe, you're stupid, you don't know what you're doing, you hate women, the whole
We called you all of that, Joe?
Yeah, really.
I was wondering what panel this was.
I've never called you stupid. I've never called you a racist. I've never said any of those things. I've never said any of those things.
So much, no, Saint. I can
What's
read
that?
between the lines, man.
What'd you say?
Yeah, I can read between the lines, dude.
And,
okay, because I don't
if the shoe fits, wear it. If the shoe fits, wear it. But I'm not saying that. I never called you that. If you feel that I was aiming that at you, and then that's your deal. But I'm not. I never thought you were
come after me, dude. And I sat.
But I've never called you a racist. I've never called. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ty. But that's what I'm saying. You get all that. You said, did you get that kind of pushback even from, now that you voted for Donald Trump? They thought that, what are you doing? You're undermining our movement, and you're doing this and that. Did you get any of that kind of stuff, or what happened?
No, I got a lot of it, but also, being brown, I got to see a racist side of liberal white people, that were anxious to tell me that I was going back to Mexico and my family would be sent back to Mexico, even though I'm not born in Mexico. I wouldn't be going back to Mexico because I'm not from there. My family, my dad is first generation, meaning he was born in this country. you know, so even he wouldn't be going back. Nobody in my family would be going back to Mexico, but that's what I was told regularly. And, you know, but like all of that, I was kind of ready for, and I didn't really mind it too much. I mean, like, I don't like that people assume that I hate, like the one that gets on my nerves the worst is specifically when it comes to trans people. And that's just because that's who kind of raised me in LGBT life. And so maybe you don't understand my methods or why I choose to do things the way that I do them, you know, but even being told that I hate my own people, like as far as like other Latinos, Mexicans specifically go, people will tell me I hate them. And I'm like, that's besides the point. There is still the fact that I think that, you know, it's more humane, in my opinion, to actually let people know, hey, you're going to have to go back to Mexico and make a decision, than to have people living here in limbo and being exploited and mistreated, which is something that you see if you live in any highly Latino populated neighborhood when it comes to, you know, illegals specifically. Like, I lived in the MacArthur Park area of LA for 4 years, and that was while Donald Trump was, you know, being elected. That was like 2017 was when I moved out of that apartment. And because I'm legal and I have the option of calling the city and reporting somebody for being a slumlord, my stuff gets taken care of right away. My neighborhood was highly populated with El Salvadorians specifically, and some of the illegals that lived in my same building paid more rent than I did. And also their stuff never got fixed. Like, there was a guy that had been living in my same building for 8 years and had the same leak, and it was a big leak and it was costing him money. And they weren't going to do anything about it. I mean, like, I would see illegal stuff happen all the time. And then also, when you're living in a neighborhood that's like MS-13, which is, that's the real MS-13 neighborhood, is MacArthur Park. You also see the way that immigrants will exploit immigrants because they know they don't have the option of calling the police. Even in a sanctuary city, illegals don't feel comfortable calling the police or dealing with the state.
So
Ty, how do you, go ahead, David.
I just have to challenge how you think that Ron DeSantis would ease the burden for those Americans.
Well, I mean, like, anybody that's willing to at least try to make a decision and figure something out. Like I said, it's more humane to tell people that they actually have to go back than to lie to them and be like, what, just keep them in limbo? Because I don't know if you know a lot of immigrants and the way that they have to live and the way they have to maneuver through the system. But I have some people very close to me that are still trying to go through that system. And like, you know, when people were talking about Trump and giving the he ended up giving them 6 months to figure it out as far as immigration went. And everybody was like, this is ridiculous, giving them 6 months to figure the situation out. Well, that had been going on for 10 years already at that point. So it was like basically 10 years in 6 months. And so if you think about the 10 years before, that would be 8 years of Obama. So in 8 years, the Democrats didn't try to do anything to actually figure out what was going to happen to these dreamers and people that are here illegally. And they hadn't come up with a program for amnesty, which was something like Bush had done before. And so it's like, I don't really know who, like, I'm not necessarily saying I think DeSantis could figure it out, but at least he's going to push for having everybody else try to figure it out, or us come up with some kind of solution.
So I have a question, because I heard a couple of things you said. So one thing you said was that, first, well, let me start with this. One thing you said was that you voted for Trump and nobody allowed him to get anything done. Do you think that's unique to a president, that the opposition stops them from doing things? Because I could say the same thing about Obama. I could say the same thing about Bush. I could say the same thing about Clinton. That's been happening.
No, Obama was actually pretty effective because he kept his mouth shut and actually did a lot of.
Do you know how many things? Were you paying attention on how many things got blocked?
I was paying attention.
Were you really paying attention?
Care Act?
Yeah.
So that's what my point is. That's every president gets things blocked. That's not unique to Trump. Now, my follow-up question is
Wait,
this.
let me
Wait.
this really quick.
Okay.
No, don't
Okay.
wait me, because like this is something I'm not gonna do with you. I'll be very clear on what I will and won't do. I'm not a regular on this panel. I'll never come on this panel again if I have to deal with people.
I'm not trying to offend
Let
you.
me be I'm gonna be very clear with you on where I'm at.
Okay, go for it.
Like when you ask me about certain things, I don't mind you asking me about certain things, but like don't try to make it seem like I said something in a particular way that I didn't say it. When I said that with Trump, I wasn't saying that anybody was being unfair with him. I said because he was stupid enough that he would put everything on Twitter, then everybody was able to figure out their strategy and decide what they were going to do to stop that. That's what I said. I didn't make it seem like it was some sort of victimization towards Donald Trump. So when you formulate your questions or your rebuttals to things I say, keep in mind what I'm actually saying and not what you like to argue on Facebook.
Okay, fine. You're fine with your points taken. I don't think his tweeting affected one way or the other them stopping him. I don't think he could have got around what he was trying. The things he was trying to do was always going to be pushed back. That was my point. Because that's what happens when people make president. There's no match. There's no one guy's going to, unless he's a dictator or an authoritarian, nobody's going to get in there and get everything they want. So my second point is this. My second question is this. Knowing what you know now and seeing all the things you've seen, you say you want Ron DeSantis. I don't think Ron DeSantis is going to get nominated if Trump gets in there. And listen, I was a guy just to
this
give you
isn't
some
a question. You said, "Here's my question," and you're not.
Well, no, I just want to. Okay, you're fine. So my question is, knowing what you know about him now, understanding that I know you don't like Biden, and believe it or not, I'm not crazy about him either. Knowing what you know now, what do you think?
What do I think of what?
Like if Trump is the nominee?
Well, I also see what Biden's not doing, which is being cognizant or aware. You know, so would I rather have a corpse or an asshole? I'll choose an asshole.
Okay, I wasn't going. Yeah, he is an asshole, and that's true. I was kind of talking about the undermining of the authoritarian style that he uses, and the undermining of every institution that we have in this country. January 6th, the indictments. I was talking about all of that.
Like, you know, I don't really like. Here's the deal with me. I deal with really well with difficult personalities. So for me, when everybody else sees Trump and they're like, "Oh my God, he's doing this," and it's like, really, what's he doing? What are you crying about this time? Like, that's the way I am. Like, really, what are you asking me about? Like January 6th? Do I think he was completely responsible for January 6th? No. Do I think that he could have done more to talk people down from what happened on January 6th? Most definitely. But at the same time, sometimes you want to see shit go haywire, because sometimes I do feel like if everybody wants something to bitch about, then hopefully somebody gives them something to bitch about. Because what did I listen to for 4 years? I mean, like, I've been quiet this entire, I'm not a person who's always online complaining about Biden. I keep my mouth shut about that. My guy lost. However it happened, it happened. I'm not a person who thinks there was a huge conspiracy to it. My guy lost. I'm chill. Like, I want this country to be able to do what it has to do. So I'm not voting, or I'm not trying to be in the way of the system right now, because that doesn't do anything to help me or the people I know. Like, just being a difficult person just for the sake of it. But the entire time Trump was in office, it was just me always having to listen to people like bitch about things that in a lot of cases, it's like, pick your battles. Like, that's part of my problem with the LGBT community right now. Is people don't pick their battles. And sometimes it's okay to be like, let's not argue everything. Like, let's understand, if women say they want to feel safe in certain spaces, we never had a problem with this. Like, when I was coming up, we never had a problem with bathrooms. And all of my friends that were transsexual always went into the women's bathroom. Nobody, anytime. And I've had transsexual friends for the last 30 years. Never once have I had a friend have a problem in the bathroom.
I've never had a problem. Not one time.
Yeah, women don't say anything. They don't care. I mean, like, you know, you're just another woman in the bathroom as far as that goes. It only became, like I said, when it became people that look like me, saying they wanted to be in the women's bathroom, and it got like, well, I'm not comfortable with that. And then instead of us as a community being like, because when I was younger, that's what it was. Like transsexual people used to correct other transsexual people and be like, look, girl, we got to get this look together. We got to work on that wig. We got to get this makeup together. We got to get a closer shave. There's just things that we have to do so that you are a woman passable in society. And I know now people have a problem with the term passable, but use whatever you want to use. But, you know, the truth is, like, you do have to be somewhat passable. And then the same people that say women are supposed to be completely comfortable with a person that identifies as a woman being in the men's bath or being in the women's bathroom and feel safe about that, will also say that trans men don't feel comfortable going into the men's bathroom until they passably look male, because that could be a dangerous situation for them having to deal with the other men. So how is it just the way that I identify, whether I identify as cisgender or identify as transgender, affects whether or not I can be a dangerous person?
So I wanted to explore that. First of all, Ty, you always coming here because this is your house. Don't play with me, okay?
I appreciate it, but I don't like when people argue with things with me that I didn't say. Like, I know that there's certain things that people just want to assign to me because I voted for Donald Trump. I don't represent every Trump supporter. I'm me. And so take the things I say and talk to me about what I'm saying. But totally. No, I mean, like, I do, yeah.
Totally agree. I did want to explore that a little bit, specifically the bathroom. I agree with you. I never thought there would come a time where we're arguing who the fuck could go in bathrooms. I consider myself an ally, a supporter, and what have you. But I do think it's too broad a stroke now where anybody could identify as anything. So if I'm in the woman's bathroom and a guy comes in and he looks like somebody, you know, ZZ Top and shit with a beard down his name, he's like, I identify as a woman. I do take issue with that because now I don't know if he's lying, if he just wants to be in the woman's bathroom. I do not know. And that's me considering, you know, being that I'm an ally, I'm like, I still don't like it. However, if I were to argue that point, then automatically I get labeled a transphobic or a hater or what have you. And I'm like, it's just now it's, you know, it's too much. Like, what do you want us to do? It's much too much. And these guys are really, really fighting. Like, no, it's ma'am. Address me as ma'am. So, you know, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? I feel uncomfortable. Another thing I wanted to address is the labels. There was this woman on TikTok and she's like, don't fucking call me cisgendered. If you want me to call you he, she, or whatever, don't fucking call me cisgendered. Like, give me the respect you want. I am a biological woman or whatever. Don't call me cis anything. What do you feel about that? And that's a question to the entire panel. But what do you feel about that? I think that's fair. If you want me to respect you, respect me. Don't throw labels on me because you want certain labels and what have you. I never thought I would care about, again, you know, the bathroom, but there are a lot of guys, like you said, Ty, that are completely male presenting and they're like, my card says female. And I'm like, fuck off. But then if I say fuck off, then it's like, you're transphobic. And I'm like, what? What do you, how do we get there?
Right. I just disagree with you. That's, yeah.
So what do you think about that? Mr. David Hand.
Oh.
I don't know. I think a lot of things, you know. I think of when I was like 21 and I was in Belgium and I was having a lovely piss at a restaurant and the door opened behind me and I glanced over my shoulder and it was a woman because the bathrooms are universal. Everyone pisses and shits. That's what I think. I know, you know, you I don't know if it's a safety issue, you know, the straight world always thinks that, you know, still we have this residue that we are somehow deviants or something like that, and that we're going to try and convert, or I don't know what the fuck people are afraid of. But, you know, the argument at this point is getting tired for me.
I think I personally think that, you know, if a person's going to be in the women's bathroom, then they should at least make some attempts to look like a woman. You know, I know real women that don't look like women. So for me, it's just like, you know, if you're at least trying, then we get what you're going for, then cool. But just as far as, I can understand how sometimes women feel safe, because sometimes I'm in the bathroom with other men that I don't necessarily feel safe with. And it's just, there is something to be said for the fact that we do have a different strength. Like, you know, you take a woman that's my same height and my same weight and have her punch me and then have me punch her. I'm going to demolish her. It's just what it is. And I'm not trying to be the macho tough guy when I say this. I'm just saying physically we're built different. And so I can see how women could feel a threat that I don't necessarily feel. And I don't think it's fair for me as a man to say, this is what you should feel comfortable with, because I'm not dealing with those same factors. I don't have the same threat. And when it comes to cisgender specifically, I think that's a very small ask from biological women, or, you know, I mean, I'll use cisgender when I'm talking to my friends and I'm differentiating, but I won't use, if a woman says that she's not comfortable with that, the same way that I'll respect what a trans woman wants is the same way I'll respect what a biological woman wants. I'll just what, and I personally, me, I don't care about either. I don't care what anybody calls me. You know, I'm a gay man, so I always have people calling me girl and Miss Thing and, you know, bitch and all the fun stuff. I consider it fun, you know, the way that we talk to each other. And so I don't get offended by anything, you know, when it comes to labels or pronouns or terms. But like, I'll respect that other people do, unless you're complicated. Like, I can tell you now, I'm not learning if you're a Zim, a Zir, a Zay, like all of that stuff. I'm not doing with you. I'll stick
Are
to the
those new
she, to
labels?
her.
Are those new
Yes,
Yes,
labels?
child. They've
So
been
you know what,
added
and that
on.
actually disappointed me, that with all of the creativity in our community, that we couldn't, you know, if the goal was to create a additional pronoun, you know, we couldn't get it together. We went with fucking they, which breaks the language because it's plural, and I was raised by language Nazis, and you know that chaps my ass. This is New York, so I get it. You know, small town America has a much bigger heart attack about this gender and bathroom
That's what
thing,
I was
but
about to say.
genderless bathrooms are all over the city here. It's in restaurants. There's a university where I work a lot. Genderless bathrooms with all these kids. You know, the stalls are ceiling to floor. You have ultimate privacy, except when you're washing your hands, and half the people don't do that anyway.
So I'm going to say this. I see it from both standpoints. And David, I was going to mention that point because you got to look at the consciousness of the space that you're in, right? Belgium has a different consciousness than America, right? We have a different consciousness around sex in general. It's not even before we even add in the whole LGBT thing. So we have to look at it's the art of negotiation. And I just feel like we got to a place where people was able to be like, okay, I can deal with that. All right, I'm willing to accept. All right, I'm willing to be educated. And then it's like we started doing too much and not reading the room and checking the temperature, right? Because I just don't feel like outside of New York, people aren't ready for the genderless bathrooms and stuff. Because you're right, they're all over the city, right?
Right.
No one, and I've never, ever heard of a problem behind it whatsoever.
Yep.
But this is New York, right? So then on the flip side, as someone who is transgender and who has transitioned, that's why when I got to that crossroads where I realized, ooh, I may need to start going into that bathroom because I was getting sexually harassed in the men's bathroom, right? So I can understand how women can feel a way as well because I've felt the way, and we don't know who's. A lot of women have had issues with being attacked by men and whatever by men, right? We don't know this, but there's a lot of women who have been. So we have to take that in consideration as well. So I can see both points. When it comes to the cis and biological, I like the word biological woman. I particularly like this. Don't mind the separation because I have never wanted to conflate with biological women. Like, I feel like I'm a trans woman and Jen is a biological woman. We're both dope in our own way. We're apples and oranges in our own way, right? So I never felt the need to kind of go into anyone else's lane, right? Because we're coming with different things, right? And then so when you start doing all of that, that's when you start trying to compare and trying to act like we have the same experience. We don't have the same experience. We don't. I know people want to say like they try to do it, but we don't. A biological woman and a trans woman has two different experiences. It's not to be compared. It's not to do anything. You know, you could just share with each other and listen to each other, but it's not the same experience. And I can understand how a biological woman can feel a way about the term cis, because it's like, hold on, when I become cis? Who told me when I become cis? I didn't say I was cis. Oh, you're telling me I'm cis?
Right.
Right? So you're putting labels onto people who didn't ask for them, right? The same way with me with the whole LGBT thing. I don't ask for those labels, but I understand people are going to try to put them on me anyway. So I can't fight every single
So
person.
so let
But
me
the
say,
label
let
I
me
did, you're trading a 5-syllable word for a 1-syllable word. It's, for me, it's brevity. You're cis, right?
What's that?
That's what I'm thinking. It's not. I don't think of it as a label.
Well,
You know what I mean? I don't know even the origin of cis, but you know, but I understand what it means, and it is a lot faster in conversation than have to revert to biological sometimes, and sometimes that's just the way language works.
Well,
yeah,
but that's the same thing. I mean, tranny is shorter than transgender, but a lot of trans people don't like the word tranny. But I could say it's shorter, it's easier. So it's like I feel like the respect has to go both ways. As far as the bathroom, I don't automatically think LGBTQ deviant. I've been to nightclubs where they were unisex and all the guys were in there and all the girls were in the bathrooms, one big happy family. However, if I'm taking one of my little nieces into the bathroom, I don't want to see a bearded guy in the bathroom. I just don't. I don't care if he's straight, if he's identifying as a woman. I don't care how he identifies. I don't take my little niece in the bathroom in my house with an uncle in there, with my own father in there, with my brother in there. So why do I have to expose this little girl to a bathroom where there's a big bearded guy in there who's claiming to identify as a woman? I don't like it, period. But it's like I can't even not like it because there's a problem with me not liking it. As far as biological women and transgender women or non-binary women having issues, Lily, which, in my opinion, which do you think has more, I don't know if the right word is weight, but which do you think is more of an emergency? Because 9 times out of 10, what is it? The statistic is 1 in 4 women are attacked by men. I mean, the biggest predator of women is men. So we have to think, women have more to worry about when males are around than men have to worry about when women are around. And I think that's what makes the bathroom issue sensitive. I just don't want to be in the bathroom with men unless it's a nightclub and it's like, hey, everybody's partying. It's a whole different vibe. But if I'm in a park and I'm walking in the bathroom, no, I don't want to see ZZ Top in the fucking stall next to me. I don't care how high the fucking walls are. I feel uncomfortable. I just feel uncomfortable. And I think it's my right to fucking feel uncomfortable. But it's gotten to the point where the pendulum is swung all the way to the other side. And I'm not even allowed to feel uncomfortable, which to me is insane. So I can't, my uncomfortableness is not even okay anymore. And that's infuriating.
This is the problem when thinking becomes far too liberal. Things become very chaotic and devoid of goddamn reason and devoid of just natural logic. Now, I'll say this to say I'm looking at this from a human perspective. I understand and the point, and I agree. If you're going to identify as a particular gender, I believe it is in your best interest to take on the particular identity and the characteristics of said gender. If you do not want to experience a degree of pushback. You know what I mean? And if you do not, well, understand that you're putting yourself in a situation where people might feel as if you're infringing on their space, and understand there's one of you and maybe 30 of them. So you have to really look at it from a very logical perspective. Again, there's what you want and then there's what is. You know what I mean? And and to someone's opinion at the bottom, they were saying there was a super chat, Jen. Adam Hearn had a super chat.
Oh, yeah, let me grab those real quick, Karan. I'm sorry. Also, I want to add, a lot of shit goes on in the woman's bathroom. I mean, sometimes our titties are out, sometimes our ass are out, sometimes we're changing pads and tampons. And again, I don't want to do that next to ZZ Top. I just don't. Thank you for the super chat. Fahim Jackson says, what does the community think and work they're doing about NAMBLA trying to attach themselves to the cause? Whoa.
Who the fuck says NAMBLA is trying to attach itself to our cause? That is some fucking straight bullshit propaganda.
No,
Okay.
that came from the doctor that was trying to introduce and rebrand pedophilia as MAPS, which were minor attracted people, and that was like, all of this does sound ridiculous, but it's when you. That's why I say that as a community, we should be more willing to just shut stuff down sometimes, just completely shut it down.
Draw
And
that
there
line in the
was.
sand.
It's exactly
Yeah, there
right,
was.
because this is what perpetuates when I blew up on our chat a week ago about the fact, this is just reinforcement of that stereotype that we are somehow into children and animals and corpses.
But see,
People
that's
are
why I
into
make that.
people are into consensual sex with
And
consenting adults.
But see, that's why I make it such a point that it's so important to draw the line in the sand and not just go along because we're queer, because this is where it leads to, right? Because this is the thing, before it even led here, that's what people already wanted to think about us, right? They just want us to be predators, okay?
Yep.
Like, let's just be really real about that. And they will they will make this shit up. They will make this shit up if they have to, right? So that's before all of this. So that's why I started drawing the line in the sand, because I saw where this was going. And I was like, oh, I'm not a part of that, right? Because people are going to want to believe that.
Yeah.
Right.
I disavow and don't even acknowledge it because it's pure bullshit.
Then it goes back to what Ty said. Then you have to draw lines in the sand. If you're only going to be loud when you're being attacked, right? Then that paints you a certain way, because it's like, hey, some people feel threatened by the community. If you're going to be quiet for that, I think you should be as loud across the board, right? It's like cops, where it's like, hey, we're not all bad, but what are the rest of the cops saying when this cop kills somebody that's unarmed? You guys are mum's the word. And you only come out and say, hey, we're not all bad. Well, where are you when this unarmed person was killed? So it's like, when are you most vocal? I think is something to think about. Before you reply, let me hit the super chat really quickly. Thank you for the super chat, Adam Hearn. Adam says, did bio women bring this upon themselves with being non-opposing allies? This would never fly with bio men in the manosphere or manhood.
I'd like to speak on this real quick. After hearing everyone speak, it just sounds like as long as white men are in control, there is a movement. This is really about white men having their thing, and everyone else is just basically benefiting from it on different levels. So that particular question, whether or not, the women were allies or not, just sounds like, as long as white men are in control, it's going to go in whatever direction it's going to fucking go into. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, and just real quick, I wanted to say, like, you guys had brought up, like, what the origin was of cis, and that's something that a lot of biological men and women have a problem with, is, like, that term was originally coined by a sexologist named Volkmar Segush, and he first used the term cisgender and cissexual in a 1991 publication, and he also claimed there was nothing wrong with pedophilia, and he coined pedosexual. And so that's why, and you'll see a lot of people, because I get this in my comments, a lot of people saying that it was actually coined by a pedo and they didn't want to be associated with that. So, like, whether or not you guys go with that, I'm not telling anybody what to think, but just if you want to know, part of the reason that some people don't want to take on that is because of who coined it. And so it has something to do with that.
Wow. Well, thanks for that. Yeah. Thanks for the education. My whole reason was something completely different, and I'm also look into it. But I mean, like I said, that's not something I really was using in the first place, but I do want to be educated on that. So thank you.
Yeah, and then it also was used by a person named Dana DeFosse, which I think was 2004, and that's more when it became like what is now, you know what I mean? And they were just using it as a way of not making trans people feel like they were other when they would be referring to the straight community or biological.
Right. And see, I don't know. I never felt like an other. I just felt like a trans woman or a woman. Like, it's just that simple. I mean, if you feel like that it's more you than the people, because the thing is, I had to learn early in my transition that I give people my power. I have to
Mhm.
give it to them. Okay. Um, it's just that simple. Unless they physically attack me, anything other than that, I have to give them my power. So people are going to look at you the way they want to look at you. There is nothing you can do about it, but just be yourself. They're going to call you every name in the book, right? They're going to think of you whatever way they think of you, which is okay unless it's something that can put us in jeopardy when it comes to like this whole pedo thing. No, I don't want to be associated with that. So I have to be like, that's why in every single interview, even the last interview you did with Ty and myself, in every single interview, I've been the same across the board, right? I tell people I don't do labels. I am me. I'm a spirit inside a body, but I understand that the world is going to look at me a certain way, and I
Yes.
can't help that.
I
Mhm.
get it. When you said power, I hear label. Right. I've always said that those labels are for you, not for me.
They're not for
I
me.
know who the fuck I am, and I sometimes will give you a box to put me in out of convenience. But,
Yes.
you know, queer is not the prevailing identity of who I am.
Also, I want to go back to what Adam Hearn said. I don't think the manosphere is a good example because the manosphere is well known for being anti-women. Period. So not only are they anti-LGBTQ, they are anti-women as well, and they pose a bigger danger. It's my belief the manosphere poses a way bigger danger than the LGBTQ and how they identify, and I mean way bigger danger, way bigger. And you guys could prove me wrong if you have proof, but they're way bigger danger. That's a whole other different animal. I wanted to talk about the whole DeSantis thing. I know Lily and David, you guys have strong opinions about DeSantis. How big a deal is it for you if he were to be in office? I mean,
I don't have strong
stranger
opinions.
things. Oh, you don't. Stranger
I
things have
don't give a fuck
happened.
about them. I don't give a fuck about politics. But yeah, I just hang
Okay.
out with them. I just want to eat. They have good food.
Mr. David End, what say you?
What, finish the question though?
Do you think that DeSantis would be a danger to the LGBTQ should he get nominated
He
and
would
voted
be
in? I
a
mean,
danger to everyone who isn't a white Christian male or a doting wife that supports a white Christian male who is also white. But that's what it would be. You know, he is a book burning anti-LGBTQ, anti-woman piece of shit. And there's no two ways about it.
oh, oh. So
Don't
George, that
sugarcoat
sounds
it,
like it
Dave.
would be your guy.
Yeah.
That would be
You
your
know,
guy, George.
well, he kind of sounds like Fozzie Bear, whenever I listen to him. But if y'all remember that from the Muppets. But anyway, as far as David, I think with all the stuff that you may be referring to, like with Disney and all that, there's things down here in Florida that he's doing. It's not to say it's right or wrong. He's getting ready to run for 2024, and he's trying to appeal to a base. And so this is what all that stuff is. I honestly, David, I don't think you have anything to worry about at all.
He's banning books. He's anti-gay. The
Banning books.
ACLU and the gay organizations have a travel advisory for, us folks. Look, I have family down there too.
Yeah.
They have
But
a travel advisory for gays?
they do.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the travel advisory for gays?
Don't go to Florida.
that's political, man. That's just
Yeah,
that's something
and
it's not only that. He's what he's doing is he's also doing this no permit open carry shit. And what he's doing is arming civilians that he is then pointing at the people that aren't the straight white Christians.
Dave, I don't know how long it's been since you've been to Florida, man, but this state is really kind of turning purple. Okay. And so what I mean is that gays here have it's a lot different than, you know, the 1980s or 90s. And what I'm trying to say is all of this is just pandering that he's doing. And as far as that, now, you know where I'm going to come down on the Second Amendment stuff. Okay. So, but, you know, and this is not the place to get into that. But anyway, I just think that maybe your fears about that are a little bit overblown. Okay. But
yeah, and I'll tell you, I have LGBT people that are more of a danger to my freedom of speech than any Republican I've ever met. So while people tell me about the abstract and what so-and-so might do, who's really been curbing my speech for the entire time I've been in stand-up comedy and in the public has been LGBT people.
I've seen that.
I'm not worried about my speech. I'm worried about my safety. I'm worried about my Black son's safety. I'm worried about women's safety. I'm worried about protecting reproductive rights. I'm worried about all of these things. I really don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about free speech, yes, but I think that safety
then I don't give a
is
fuck
the bigger
about your
issue over
family.
it.
If you don't give a fuck about my speech and how I make a living, then I don't give a fuck about your family. And that's where we end up. See, it's always easy for people to say, I don't give a fuck and feel good about that. But then when somebody says, I don't give a fuck about what you care about, suddenly it doesn't feel so good.
Well, I immediately
corrected
what I said, but I don't care. I think that safety is the bigger issue when we talk about these kind of things.
You know, David, I want to remind you, it's like when I can recall when Bill Clinton and Al Gore were running for office, there were, keep in mind, they were both came from the Bible Belt. Okay. But I can recall, and the church I was going to at the time, they said, don't vote for these guys because they're going to do this, all this fear mongering. You know, the gay people are going to come in and take over and they're going to get your kids. Okay. Or, you know, this is an old thing. They're going to ban, you know, they're going to do all this stuff against like whatever your conservative values are. And of course, yeah, they got in and yeah, they did some things, you know, that base didn't like, but it was nothing. It was just, they went on. Now, the only thing I will say, David, and I thought about this as you were talking about safety. Now, I can't say that's completely unfounded on your part because we got Orlando at the nightclub on our hands down here where some maniac went in there and shot up the place and killed like 50 people or something like that. So, but that was, you know, that was not because of Ron DeSantis or anybody like that. It's just some deranged, hateful individual.
Okay. This is what I'm going to say. And if this doesn't apply to anybody on the panel, then let it fly. So the problem is, and this is on any politician, is that when you say these things and you're saying, well, they're just, you know, they're appealing to the base. Some people listen to it as I need to take action. They're invading. The invaders. It's an invasion going on the southern border. There's an invasion. They're trying to take away this. I hear a lot of division, and I was going to vote Republican last election, 2016, not the last election, 2016. If they just would have put a moderate up there, someone could have been. I did not like Hillary Clinton, and I didn't really like Joe Biden. But my problem is that, and believe me, I was hoping that Biden would try to bring people together. But at this point, I already see, like, if someone's not on your team, you're going to dislike them. It doesn't matter because policies really don't matter. I can tell you good things that Trump did, but it doesn't outweigh showing secret documents to your staffers, top secret. It just doesn't outweigh it. And this is the problem I think we have in this country is people are willing to overlook, especially with Trump, overlook everything, not just January 6th, not just pressuring Georgia to find 11,000 votes, not just, and then in his own word, he said, well, I didn't do it. I declassified everything. Now he's on tape saying, I didn't declassify this. This is still top secret. I could have declassified, and people just overlook it. And to me, it's insane. It's insane to sit there just because you don't like, I'm never going to vote Democrat. It's just picking a team, and you just don't like the other guy because I can tell you good things Trump did, and guess what? I can tell you good things that Biden did. I just know what Biden didn't do over the last couple of years, and if it's Trump and Biden, it's bad choice either way. But I'm not.
The Dems are not trying to diminish the rights of Americans, and the Republicans are.
Oh wait, one more thing.
They're trying.
You got to listen to what people say.
That's not.
Wait,
true.
real quick.
That's
I'll finish. I'll finish it. I'll land my plane. I'll land my plane with this. One of the things Trump is talking about doing, he's saying, I'm going to send the army down there to the border, and I'm going to say that it's okay to shoot people trying to come over the border. If that's kind of shit doesn't make you disgusted, you're shooting people coming to try to get away from something that's horrible. It's a person, I just don't understand how you can people, not you, not anybody on the panel. If it's you, I don't understand that. I don't understand that thinking, because I guarantee you, if this was on this, if you want to call me, I'm an independent, but if you want to call me a Democrat and it's a Democrat saying that stuff, I would never vote for that person. Never.
Yeah, but that's not what a lot of what's being said isn't necessarily true. Like, Democrats do limit rights, like both sides limit rights. It just happens with different things. But I mean, it's just what you're comfortable with.
Human
rights. COVID was a good example of that. Like, there were a lot of us that had to do a lot of things that we shouldn't have had to do for unhealthy people, so that we could keep people alive to watch Netflix. Like, that's what a lot of COVID was. And then when it comes to like don't say gay, like, that's been blown out of proportion. That's basically propaganda. Like, to say don't talk about these certain things to kids between 1st and 3rd grade, that's not a don't say gay bill. That's not completely, it's not that you're not allowed to say gay. And yes, you can say gay in Florida. I performed in Florida. I perform in Florida quite a bit. A lot of the places that I hear about that are supposedly so hateful, I perform in redneck clubs. For anybody,
have you been to Jacksonville, Ty?
I think I did Jacksonville with Gabriel Iglesias, and that would have been in 2013 or 14. So it's been quite a while since I've been to Jacksonville. Yeah, Sarasota, I perform in regularly, which, if you're familiar with Sarasota. Yeah. Marco Island is another place that I performed. West Palm Beach is another place. Where was I most recently in Florida? Trying to think of where I was most recently in Florida. But yeah, I performed all over Florida. I mean, like, most of the places that people are supposed to hate me, they're actually very cool with me. And that's where I make a lot of my money. And I don't mind a lot of times dealing with conservatives and Republicans, because what a lot of Democrats don't realize is a lot of the money for liberal causes actually comes from Republicans. They just don't admit to being Republicans or voting conservative. And that's just a fact. I know, because I've worked for a lot of them, and they're like, oh, I voted for Trump too. I just don't say it because, people won't want me in this particular world or in this particular space. And that's something that happens. And sometimes it's for write-offs, but I don't really care why they give the money. They give the money. But, like, a lot of the stuff people say, even a lot of stuff people said that Donald Trump said, if you listen to it in the context, and I'm not a person that's constantly looking to justify or rationalize or make excuses for, but I also am a person that does believe in listening to what somebody says in its entirety on both sides. Mm-hmm. And I always tell people, because people have these triggers, and one thing that'll get on my nerves is sometimes people will try to like respond to me based on their trigger rather than what I said. And one thing I tell people, because it's something that I do, is you've got to listen to people past the point where they trigger you, because sometimes that's where you'll find the commonality. And I don't mind listening to anybody, but it's just sometimes when I hear people saying things that aren't true, it's just like, okay, well, why don't you go ahead and tell me where that comes from, really, where that specifically comes from? Because when it comes to, DeSantis, and I'm open to, like, I voted for Obama twice, so nobody should think that I'm just a Republican and that's the way, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool Republican. That's not what it is. I voted for Obama twice, and then when Hillary was the option, and I didn't think she was a good choice at all, and I don't like a lot of her past, and I don't like a lot of what she's done. So I chose to vote for Trump, and then that turned me into the enemy to some people, and some people couldn't listen to anything I had to say past that because they had this idea of me because I voted for Trump. It's like, I listen to anybody, but just a lot of what people say is based more on talking points or things they've heard on the news than entire statements. Like
Yeah,
listen, I will agree with you there. And I've brought this up to people. I remember when they showed Trump saying that there were good people on both sides. I don't know if you remember that when they're talking about the Virginia thing. And that's what the news showed, right? There are good people on both sides, good people on both sides. I went to, and I've done it before. I've gone to C-SPAN just to watch exactly what's said, because that kind of stuff does get cut up. He actually said there were good people on both sides, and I'm not talking about the white supremacists or the skinheads. He actually said that. They didn't show that on the news. So yeah, that is correct. And I'm with you on that. But see, the things I'm talking about, I watch him say in speeches, it comes right out of his mouth, live speeches. So when I'm talking about the things that bother me, I know you weren't pointing that at me. I'm just saying in general, but I agree with you that there's certain talking points. And if you don't listen to the other viewpoints, it's gonna be slanted for sure.
Yeah, and there are, like certain times they do use, like when you said the invasion at the border, that's something that is happening, and it doesn't affect, like, people that are in other states don't think about it because they're not dealing with it, but like it is a huge economic burden. And just to say, and then when DeSantis specifically took them to, or dropped them off at Martha's Vineyard, and then they were like, we can't handle an extra 50 people. So they got rid of them right away. It kind of did make the point. Well, you have thousands showing up in places like McAllen, Texas every day. And they're supposed to put up with it. They're supposed to be able to handle it. So you can't
they're
handle
not Martha's
50.
Vineyard. They don't have the money. They don't have the influence and power. It's Martha's Vineyard. So
exactly. Yeah.
I personally, I can't stand Donald Trump. I think he's a piece of shit. And I voted for him, by the way. I voted for Donald Trump because there's what you want in this world, and then there's what's necessary. And that's the problem most people have. They can't distinguish between the two. What you want and what's necessary is at the bedrock of politics. Okay, I want a lot of things in life, but I have to do what's necessary, sometimes in order to get things done. And the Clintons, I did not want them back in office in any way, shape, or fucking form. So if it was him, that piece of shit that I thought it was a piece of shit since I was 13, then yeah, let's go with that guy.
Yeah, and I just want to say the only thing I have problem, it's the word. The invasion sounds like it's an army coming, and they're gonna rape your kids and destroy the fields, and it's the words that are used purposely to incite a certain emotion in people. And that's the problem I have with words like invasion. I understand that there is a problem at the border. I mean, you can't have everybody come over here. There should be a process, but this benefits both parties. See, if they fix it tomorrow, then the Republicans don't have anything to really run on, and the Democrats also don't have anything to run on. They're just playing both sides, and they
always play both sides. That's why I don't get into this shit, because all they do is pit us against each other. That's why I'm like, child, y'all go right on.
I'm with you on. I have no. Go ahead.
Well, I'm about to say they're going to do what they want to do, but they're not even going to do that. They're going to do whatever the corporations that are paying them the money is going to tell them.
Exactly. It's all
not just that. I always tell people, okay, you're mad at the people that are poor, that are trying to get away from whatever they're trying to get, because nobody wants. I've been to these countries. They are beautiful places. I wish I could live in some of them. They're so gorgeous. You wouldn't want to leave unless you were desperate to get out of there. And they're desperate. So why are we blaming? Wait. Why are we blaming the people? Why don't we blame the people who are hiring them? Which is big
you feel
farms.
a lot less bad for these people when you're related to some of them. Like, people have this idealized idea of what they think an immigrant is, and they're just coming here for this. No, some come just to deal drugs. Some do come just because they'd rather live here than live there. It's not always like, and it's both. And I'm not saying that doesn't. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, and I'm not saying there aren't people that are in that situation. But a lot of the people that are claiming asylum really have no reason to claim asylum. And that's just what it is. It's an abuse of the system, you know, and there's nothing wrong with calling that out too. But we're all supposed to always pretend like it's only well-intentioned people coming to this country. It's only the most downtrodden. It's like, no, you know what I mean? And just because maybe I don't like my apartment, maybe I'd rather live in yours. That doesn't mean you can necessarily take me on as a dependent. You know,
no, I understand what you're saying. The majority right now, the majority are coming out of Venezuela and Honduras. I think that's a majority. So I get what you're saying. Listen, you can. That's a sure. There are people trying to do bad things here, but a lot of people are coming here working farms, working hardworking jobs. And I'm saying, if you're going to punish the people coming over here, punish the people that are hiring them. Start charging $1 million per illegal immigrant and see how quick that dries up.
Well, that, you know, and that is an actual thing. And that's why I think that it would have to be tempered no matter what they do, because they tried that in Alabama. I don't know if everybody knows about this, but they really were able to do it in Alabama. It was very effective, and they got all of the immigrants to leave. And they had to apologize because things came to a grinding halt.
Yes.
Because there's just certain jobs Americans won't do.
They tried to get the prisoners to do it, and the prisoners were slacking, of course. They tried to hire other people, and they were like, these watermelons are heavy. You can have your money. You're right.
Yeah, when politicians have to publicly apologize, you know things have gone terribly wrong.
I remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. It came back to me. I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I used to tell people when all of this was going on way back when, is that I like this orange juice called Lily's Orchid Island orange juice. It's great. It's wonderful, wonderful orange juice. They sell it all over the nation, but it's grown here in Florida. And I said, well, you know, if you run off all the immigrants here from here, I'm not going to be able to get my orange juice, and I'm going to be pretty fucking pissed. You know,
we all have our priorities, George. We all have our priorities.
So my point being is the point that No Saint just pointed out, and also Ty, is that, you know, there's definitely ramifications about it. But here's the thing: I think Americans on immigration need to be disabused of this notion. Is they think that we need to be just open our doors for anybody and everybody. Because I can tell you, there are countries around this world that don't do it. I tried to immigrate to Switzerland. Okay. This was a long, long time ago. Try to immigrate to Switzerland. The long and the short of it is they said, look, unless you're 65 years old or older and you're bringing your money here to retire, no, keep your ass in America. That was the long and the short of it. They really restrict who can come in for what jobs, because they have a policy of wanting to, at least at that time, to make sure that a Swiss got a job versus, somebody else. Right. And so there were things like that. There's a lot of places, especially in Europe, I shouldn't say that because the EU has relaxed some rules on immigration there. But Americans need to think to me, I'm kind of like my immigration policy is I'll take the best and brightest from these nations, but you
need your orange juice too.
Yeah, I want my damn orange juice.
And there's the jackpot.
Yeah, that's George. Okay.
Okay, so I want to welcome Modern Renaissance Man to the panel. How are you, sir? I also want to acknowledge this super chat. Thank you, Adam Hearn, for the super chat. Adam Hearn says, shout out to the new Salvadorian president. He is cleaning the country up a lot. You talking about Nayib Bukele, and I want to do an entire stream on that man. He is a fucking superhero. I've never seen anything like it. If you do not know, please Google Nayib Bukele. Incredible. I've never seen a president like that in my life. Zero fucks given. So guys, before we close out on this topic, because we are going to close out on it, maybe use the last half hour to get in another topic just to kind of switch up the air in here. Everybody okay? Everybody's putting Band-Aids and on their stitches and shit like that. Okay. So before we close out, and I know MRM, you have something to say about this topic. So I just want to run the video one more time, and I would like people, everybody on the panel, to just give their last thoughts on this. I'm not sure if we got into it completely, but you know, at the Pride Parade, there was a group of LGBTQ chanting, "We're queer, we're here, we're coming for your children." Are they being too sarcastic? Is it not a funny joke? Are they pushing people to hate them, or have they been pushed to the point where now, you know, they're doing something similar to what I do? Like when people say I'm racist or I'm anti, I'm like, yeah, bitch, yeah, I'm racist, whatever you need. Whatever it is you need to believe. I know I get that way. So is the LGBTQ just at the point where it's like, yeah, motherfucker, yeah, we're coming for your children? But is that a joke that is okay, being that, you know, the air is already tense between the LGBTQ and the cisses and the biologicals and the straights? So I'm going to play the video again, and let's hear the last thoughts on this. And MRM, you can also comment on this, since I know you're up here for that. I have another question. Why does the LGBT Pride Parade always have to be so damn naked? Why does everybody got their ass, tits, and dicks out? What is that about? No, real serious question. Why does that have to represent LGBTQ? Dicks out, tits out, ass out.
We were just saying it represents the BET Awards last night. You know what I mean? Like no one knows how to wear fucking clothes anymore.
You know what?
People are naked as fuck.
I'm not mad at him.
LGBT, us being naked has always been a thing. It's the introduction of the kids coming to the pride, because forever gay pride, which is what it originally was gay pride. You know, now it's become LGBT pride. But at gay pride, we used to get naked and sexy. That's a part of it. You know, so now when they're why don't they put on clothes? I'm like, no, why don't you take your kids home? Why don't you not have your kids here? I don't need it.
It's like Mardi Gras.
To be a grown-up.
Yeah, right.
It is like Mardi
It's
Gras.
like Mardi Gras. Don't bring your kids on Bourbon Street. And people bring their kids on Bourbon Street.
Your kids like
exactly.
Okay, so what do you think about what do you think about the chant itself? Are gay people just fucking fed up, or are they doing too much, saying we're coming for your children, seeing as people are already paranoid?
Yeah, that was painful to watch because of the paranoia, because of how people are going to perceive it. I don't know I don't know the context of what was being said, but that clip can be taken and spread it around and then added to the hate that's already put there. Like I said, they're already looking for reasons. So it was just like, oh God, I don't even know what the context is, but because guess what? Whoever hears that doesn't even need a context. They're gonna be like, see, I told you, they want our kids. You know, so it's just like,
4,900 views. I don't think it's going viral at this point, but it's just fear-mongering the fear-mongers.
Oh, it depends on whose channel.
No, it's pretty viral.
It's got over 4 million views on it.
Oh, all right.
It's pretty viral.
All right. I was just looking at the number on that clip, but yeah, it's just fear-mongering the fear-mongers. And
I'm a bit curious. What if they were just trolling? Because isn't that what we do on social media? Troll the fuck out of people and make them feel
precisely. That's the better word.
I saw is that's your name, right? Thea? I'm sorry, Mr. Rivera.
Ty.
Sorry. Listen, it takes me a while to get everybody's name. I saw his video on this subject and I couldn't agree with him more. And this is my whole point about words meaning things. You say things, and whether it's a joke or whether you don't mean it, or whether you're pandering, they mean things and it has effects. And so I totally agree with his video and his take on it. That was really not helping anybody.
No, not at all.
Not helping.
Right. So when you say, like when Haran says, well, what if they're just trolling? DeSantis, for instance, could take that and turn it an entire campaign.
Exactly.
Right.
He will.
Exactly. And he will. So exactly. So it's just like when I thought, I was like, oh God, like, yeah, because it's already like anyway.
Yeah, I got this. They're the group. I'm like Lily when I saw that. I was like, those are the people I'm kind of like, you need are they plants in your movement, to try to
I
make
think
it
there's a
look
lot of
bad.
plants. There's a lot of plants, and I'm getting into that. That's the research I'm doing. I have come
Mhm.
to find out there are a lot of paid plants into purposely put in disinformation and to cause this type of stuff. So yeah, there are
Yeah.
plants.
Yeah, and I realize that Pride Parade has probably got like tens of thousands of people walking, and it's kind of hard to police everybody. But you know, when that happens, it's like whoever organized it needs to like denounce it and say, you know, look, we let all kinds of people get in here. We can't police everybody, but we do not in any way agree with this. You know, that kind of thing. You know,
It's a part of
should,
why I don't really care what happens with a lot of these people, because it's, if you don't care enough to watch what the message is coming from your own people, and you're going to pretend like that's something to blame on everybody else, I'm not going to take it more seriously than you do. Because I, like, if you don't care what happens, if you're fine with trans people not being, because you know, like the way that, which I will agree, the way that the wording is right now on the Florida trans bathroom ban really does make it so you're just supposed to go into whatever bathroom is the bathroom that you were like your assigned birth at gender, I believe is the way that they word it. Or, you know, like, so basically whatever you were born at is a bathroom you should go into. So like when you see stuff like this is happening, and that's the kind of legislation that's being introduced, not only in Florida, but different places. In Florida, it already passed, you know? When you see that that's what's happening, and you still think it's a cute idea to troll like this and give people that kind of ammo, you're not taking this seriously. So you'd
Right.
rather be a troll than actually watch out for people. And then I'm supposed to be up in arms with you. No, I think you're stupid. I think you should do better. Because, like me, I'll admit there's a lot of things that I don't care about. Like, I don't care about being accepted in certain spaces when it comes to LGBT and stuff like that. But if I did, there's a different way that I would conduct myself, and I'd keep that in mind. But you can't say, like, I want to be allowed in these spaces and then do things that gives people like ammo to fearmonger, and then be like, now I want you to take this serious. Now I want you to go on a march with me. Oh no, I'm not going on a march with you. I'll be doing treadmill like I do every day for my cardio.
I'll be on the treadmill. I mean, you have to. JB says coming for your children just sounds dark and ominous, and it does. Like we're coming for
Coming
your
from anyone.
children.
Coming
Right,
from anyone.
right. Absolutely right. But you know, it's like that'll make you. You know what I'm saying? Load up, bring out the big guns. You're not coming for my kids.
You can
Right?
also look at the video. They're all smiling and laughing. They're not holding torches and pitchforks or
But no one,
nets
but
to
no
get
one, but
their
no one,
children
but no
in.
one's going to
You
do all of
know.
that. No one's going to do all of that. They
I
already
know.
hate
People are
us. I'm
trash.
telling you, they're trash. They already hate us, and it doesn't help the movement at all. They're
Do
not
you
going to
think-
feed into it.
David, you say, and then I really want to, because we're coming to a close, but I really want to pass the mic to MRM. David, you say, you know, yeah, well, people are trash. Don't you think people that are trolling this way are trash as well? To say we're coming for your children, that's deep.
Trolls
like you
are
can
trash.
come for me, but once you start involving the kids, man. You know what I'm saying? You take it to another level, even if you're playing around. Like you could say it with the biggest smile on your face, like, Jen, I don't fuck with you, but if I catch your daughter, then I got to put a fucking hole in your head, right?
But
because
it's like
even if you said it with a smile, that's a threat to me.
But what are you
funny.
thinking? Your mind is saying these gays are coming for my children, so they're going to do something bad to my children. What if they're saying we're going to come and educate your children that we exist? Your Florida children,
but
your third
one's
grader,
gonna
gay people out there in the world. It's a fact. It's biology.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
right, but
that.
right. It's a
So
difference between
I'm just saying
you saying
they're
it's
not saying they're
biology and
trying
you
to
teach
harm
sexuality.
the children. It's just the semantics of it. And
but
I
take the
agree, it's troll bullshit.
Look at Ty.
I agree, it's troll bullshit. And
gays
you
will
know,
do anything to
and it was
justify
that
each other's
they
bad
go low, we
behavior.
go high thing, and this is they go low, we went low. We shouldn't have done that, but you know what I mean. It's reading a lot into a single sentence.
Well, take the queer out of it. Let's take the queer out of it. Let's just take the queer out of it. You insert any group, saying those same words, people are not going to like it for whatever reason. And so for us being, we're the minority, right? And so we're the ones that are in danger, especially someone like myself, right? I'm the, like Ty said earlier, I'm the one that's going to have to pay the brunt for that when I'm on the subway, right? I don't take that lightly because I know people already hate us. And why would you troll people who have the power to hurt us that already hate us? That's not cool. It's not cool.
Is this cognitive dissonance or whatever? Because let's say, right, they're trolling, they're saying it's smiling. Lily tries to go into a lady's bathroom. A lady comes out and tells her conservative white guy, you know, the biker guy, you know what I mean? There's a fucking trans in there. He heard we're coming for your children. He's not going to think they were saying it with a smile on their face. And then Lily's in danger. That's my point, right? It's easy to say from, you know, a white space, like they were trolling, they were smiling. And even Haran said it. Haran said, oh, they were trolling. I like how people play around with the trolling thing as if people haven't been murdered behind some fucking trolling.
Yeah, but it's still that straight tangent that everyone makes about, you know, that straight world makes about gays. That we're gonna fuck your kids
and take the gay out. Take the gay out.
No. I get that point, Lily.
Yeah,
but you know what I mean.
Take the gay
but
out.
It's also that residue of the fact that, you know, there is that every single time it comes up in news and politics. There's those correlations that.
So does this help?
That queer means pedophile? No, I'm agreeing with you, Lily. I'm agreeing with you on that.
Let me say this. Shout out to the panel. Good conversation going on here. I think there's a lot of things that we got to take into factors. I mean, Jen said a whole lot of it. I mean, everything you said in the beginning, Jen, was just like dead on. You have to understand this. What would happen right now if I was able to push a switch for all you white folks and all y'all start chanting, "We're here. We're here. We're brave. We're coming for our slaves," with a smile on y'all face. But y'all, I mean, I'm just saying, what if, you know, because think about this, in this condition right now in America, you guys, all of y'all are, you know, I'm saying it sarcastic, so I hope you understand. All of y'all are racist. It's in y'all DNA. Y'all forefathers did this. All of y'all, it's just in y'all DNA to be racist. Y'all got white supremacy. Y'all have white privilege. Y'all got all these things. And now, like Jen said, what if you get to the point like, okay, look, although I might be white, my wife is, a person could be saying, I'm white, my wife is married. I got grandchildren. And now I'm being accused of being a racist for the simple fact of being, you know what, okay, I'm racist. Now, what if they start saying that? We're here, we're brave, we're coming for our slaves, but we're smiling while we're saying it. How do you think black folks are going to respond to that? Oh, they're just joking. Yeah, I know they're smiling.
So there'll be a good number of them that'll say they're just joking. There'll be a number.
That's probably be their last words. But
no, I wouldn't say a good number. I wouldn't say a good number. I'd say the majority be trying to form the second march in Selma.
Right.
I don't think it would be a good number at all.
What happened?
Black Twitter would explode. Black Instagram would explode. Black Facebook would explode. It would explode.
BLM will rise again.
Yes.
Al Sharpton and come.
You see, that's just the whole thing. It would explode, and that'll be it.
So what I'm saying before is that, you know, when you have like a chant like that going on, and then of course you got, you know, like there's a video, I have it even on my Instagram. This grown man is out there. I don't know if y'all seen that. He got tighty whities on, and he's purposely opening his legs like this. And I can share the screen with you and show it to y'all. He's purposely opening his leg like this with tidy whities on, and he's doing like this in front of some kids. And then he walked over, waved at some other kids, opened his legs real wide, start doing like this in front of some kids.
Wait, was that at Pride?
I take issue with the term tidy. They were loose. I know they were meant to be tidy whities, but they were loose.
When you guys were saying things like there can be some people in there that might be, I guess, pawns or infiltrators, what I'm saying that for is that this man looked just like a regular grown truck driving beard man, sweaty, hairy, with tidy whities on, open his legs up and doing like this in front of some kids. So what people would do, they see that, and then you got another video there next. No, because y'all know when you're going through those videos like those shorts,
they're going to put
that video being shown. Then the next video going, we're here, we're coming for each other. And then they show this man doing this in front of kids. People's minds going to be geared like, okay, these folks are disgusting. Now, although it's messed up, because I know there's people that follow my channel, a lot of them are all a part of the community, right? And they know I have no hate towards them. But the messed up thing about that is that these individuals that do stuff like what that guy did in front of those kids is messed up. They put all of y'all under that umbrella now. And yet, some of y'all say, look, we know we're not a part of what that guy's doing right there. And you made a good comment, Ty, when you said, and I blame the parents. Why the heck if you knew that this was all about that? It's y'all thing, shake you how you want it. But why would parents bring their kids to something like that?
Mm-hmm.
And I get on my minister friends and my Christian friends. Why are y'all going down there trying to bother these people? How would y'all like if they showed up in our church and you know what I'm saying? Don't do it. Leave them alone. Just let it be.
Alone.
But
Leave
the thing is,
alone.
folks create things just for that simple reason, so we can be at each other's neck. And what they don't want is exactly what's going on in this panel right now. Is to see that everybody that's part of the community is not like what that man was doing in front of those kids. You know, they're not even thinking about that in no way. And again, we want to be left alone to do our thing. Y'all the ones that brought y'all kids there. Now we're being accused of being pedos for that. It's messed up.
So
5,
so
6,
I want
7,
to
8. Don't assume your kids are straight. That was another chant that, like, you know, it gives people ammo. You know what I mean? Like, it was another chant they started at that same Pride, where
I actually like that one time because
That's
I
a true
agree.
one. I
Like,
mean, that's a great one.
don't
That's not
assume your kids are
derogatory at all.
straight.
Yeah, I agree.
Your kids might be gay. Guess what?
Everybody assumes their kids are straight. That
They
is
all
true.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They all
but
do.
it gives people more ammo. You know, I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna run one play, don't try to run another one at the same time. Like, because they get conflated. You know, like one because it starts looking like it's kind of an attack on the kids because you've got people trying to transition kids early. You've got people saying don't assume your kids are straight. You've got people saying we're coming for your children. So after a while, it starts to look like we are driving this narrative. We're the reason for the narrative. So it's like, don't give that to people. You
And
know,
the cartoons, like the cartoons are adding gay characters now more and more often. So that's another complaint that people have. Thank you for the super chat. Team Fatty says, hope I can join the panel soon. Salute Jen and MRM. You know, so the guy in the loose whiteys was doing that in front of children. In the loose whiteys. So I can say that I haven't seen the video, by the way, but I can say I feel the same way again as watching the BET Awards the other night. And I didn't watch the BET Awards, I wouldn't, but the clips I saw were absolutely disgusting. But it was very easy for me to like click away or scroll away. I don't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't take my kids there. I wouldn't watch it in front of my kids. It's just fucking, it's nasty. It's over sexualized. So that just goes across the board. That has nothing to do with sexual orientation. But again, I go back to if someone has a problem with loose whitey guy, right? Then you're automatically a homophobe. When I think that's fucking disgusting, but I do agree with Ty. Why are your children there when you know it's going to be dicks, ass, and tits out? It is known. It's not a secret. That's how Pride happens. I remember there was a Pride on Grand Concourse in the Bronx, and my mother was like, "Oh my God, there was men with their titties out." I'm like, "Why'd you take the grandkids over there?" That's what Pride is. But in my mother's defense, she thought it was just a cute parade with colors that she could take the grandkids to. But she learned that, she learned that day.
But it is also the law. There is no law that says women have to wear shirts in New York. So that's true. You know what? You can be
I've seen them
if you want.
I've seen them in Union Square with their tits out, but they still. I love that that's a law, but we're not in a society this is not Brazil. Right,
Yeah.
this is not Europe. You still the women I saw in Union Square with their tits out. Literally, a crowd formed around them. So we're not there.
The consciousness of America is not there. And you have to know where you're at. And it goes back to what I always say. It's not what you want it to be. It's what is. Like, we got to look at what is. I know we have an ideal place we would like to get to. We're just not there right now. We got to respect where we're at today.
Okay, with that said, looks like we're coming up close, guys. I would like to get last thoughts. We didn't get to our other topics, so you got to come back mañana, and I still got some juicy shit, but we didn't get to it. Dumb of me to think this was just going to be an hour. I freaking love all of you guys, and thank you for your input. George, I know you had an apology to make, sir.
Yeah, I do. And
I accept, George.
Okay, all right, appreciate it. But
wait a minute now. Let's listen to the apology.
Hey, look, well, here's the thing, Jim. What
100 years? I don't want to hear your goddamn apology.
Does it include reparations, George?
Yeah, exactly. That'll be on the way. Yeah, what got me to thinking about it was Jen's comment about what she says a lot of times about when they're talking about a certain group of people I might be in that group. I know that doesn't particularly apply to me, so why am I getting pissed about it? And so, like, No Saint, what I should have done back in whenever you said that I should have addressed it then, not come to this now. And I apologize, dude. So
No, you don't have to. I understand. Listen, we're gonna butt heads on certain subjects, and that's fine. But I don't think all those things you were saying. I don't think those things about you. You know, I really don't. I do have opinions about. I do have
right.
And with I'm trying to read his name. I'm sorry. I'm so bad with Thai. What is it?
Thai, like Thai.
You never had Thai food? It's
exactly.
Thai.
Okay. Well, okay. Thai. Okay. And I just want to say, even with him, you know, I hope he didn't take offense to my questioning. I have no hard feelings on the earlier thing. I think we're recovered from that, but I didn't mean to take your words out of context.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, but I don't stay mad about anything. You know, I just in that moment I'll snap real quick, and then I just go back to being me, and that's just a part of my personality. You can call it like the Mexican in me or whatever, and I also can take it too. If I ever end up like making somebody mad and they snap at me, I'll just be like, okay, so we're there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you though. I do appreciate you,
man.
And you have to. You guys should be used to that from me. I tell people, suck my dick, fuck off, die, go, and then I'm like, all right, guys, what was happening?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I should be used to that.
I'm like that too. Once I snap, I'm okay. I don't even think about it again. I'm like, what? What are you apologizing for? I don't even remember. Like, I just don't know. I don't know how to hold on to shit like that. I just don't. I have things to do. I'm busy.
Yeah. By the way, Lily, I just want to say I loved your movie. I did get to check it out. I had to watch it on the replay because that night I was at the gym. But like, I really
thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate what people like you guys like, and I mean this to everybody on the panel, but especially the other LGBT, what people like you guys are doing on shows like this, because I see you guys talk about things that aren't always the popular things to talk about. And whatever your opinions are, I think it's important that people hear from us and more of the everyday us than just the celebrity us who are being paid to say certain things or have, you know, definite perspectives that we have to push. So I appreciate you guys always.
Thank you, Ty.
Quick thing, when the trolling comment, I really was just trying to cause some trouble in the
It didn't land well
at all.
You know what I mean? I thought, I was just like, hey, just throw that out there. But no, he created dialogue. But I will say this though, they're walking on thin ice. The ice is too thin in order for them to make that kind of statement.
I thought you were spot on, Haran. It's troll v troll.
Yeah, you were right. That's the problem. Is you're right. They are trolling, but it's just not a good time for it.
It was a bad idea.
Very bad idea. Very tone deaf. Very dangerous.
I think we can all agree on that. Like, leave children. I don't care if you're carrying a tiki torch or a dildo. Leave the children out of it. Leave them out.
And I agree with.
And I gotta say, I'm just like, listen to my favorite colonizers. We appreciate the white on white violence on the block with Jen. So listen, you got no pushback from me, honey.
No,
I was like, I had this.
I'm like, oh wow, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the movies when the T-Rex is fighting the raptor, and it's time for us to like watch and then run away. That's what happens when the white on white violence happens. They're fighting.
This
it's
what
so
it
weird
really
to
looks
watch.
like.
I know, right? That's how I feel. I'm like, oh wow, so they fight.
And it always ends in like the subtext of it is always who's more racist than the other, and you kind of like me. I try to like poke like, no, the other one's more racist than you, bro.
It's definitely the Raptors. Raptors are a huge racist. It's
like this, if this was 500 years ago, I pictured George being an overseer, and I pictured No Saint being an abolitionist. Like like No Saint is going to tell you where to hide. You know what I'm saying?
And put a drink in your hand. Would you like a libation? While you're high.
All right, guys. So last thoughts on the "We're Here, We're Queer" the video, or last thoughts on anything before we get out of here.
Yeah, I got a last thought. Oh, go ahead, Lily.
I would just like to say,
I'll catch
good
you.
night. Thank you.
Thanks for coming through, friend. I would like to say, and it pretty much it's the same thing which I said. I really just love how we are able to have intense dialogue about intense things. We talk about politics, religion, LGBTQ. These are all hot button topics, and we're able to have them go off on each other, recover, come back, and have a coherent conversation where everyone is able to get heard. Because if you look at the chat, there's people who identify with each one of our talking points, which shows that they're all needed. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
There's even a body language expert on the panel. Like,
I saw
see
Ty
checking out. It's like, oh.
I saw Ty. I know body language, and when Ty checked, I was like,
I didn't see that.
You're trying to read me. I'm looking at my phone so I can read your comments. Is what I'm
like, what does this mean?
This is the first. This is the first show where I've gone full screen, no comments, because I find they get really distracting. And then I'm like, then you'll be like, Jen will be like, David, what do you think? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm 40 comments back. I don't. What was the question? KFC? What?
Yeah, that's all I was doing. I was looking at the comments and I get red.
It's so distracting.
I'm checking out or whatever.
Yeah. You know, one time in another topic I'd like to see us talk about this is that for me, from where I came up in my background, I'll be honest with you with the whole thing with the religious values. And then like, I have friends who are gay, and I'm sure y'all have all dealt with this in one way or another. It's kind of like that tug, you know, and how you handle all that. And what do you do? I'll be honest with you is that at times I think, well, here's where I come down. Bottom line, if you're my friend, you're my fucking friend. I don't care what you are. And it's kind of like I hate to say it, but I put those religious beliefs aside and just look at the person. That's what I look at. So that's it at the end of the day. But yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate it. This is good. What are we going to do tomorrow night, Jen?
It's religion versus atheist show tomorrow.
We're back. We're back.
Am I going to ask you guys a question for one?
Say again?
Am I going to get a chance to ask you guys a question for one?
Tomorrow?
Because it's like a shooting gallery. I'm like the little duck going across the screen.
But George, come on, you're a shooter. I know that. You know what I mean? You're a shooter.
You hold your own, Joe. You hold your own.
You are a shooter for Jesus.
Yeah.
I mean that in the best possible way.
You're allowed to ask us anything. You just got to jump in. And you know that atheist versus religion is a hot night, but I don't stop anybody from asking anything. I've gotten emails just about on everybody on this panel. And I usually tell people, fuck off. Like this is the panel where everybody gets to say whatever they want. And if you don't like that, then this is not the channel for you. I refuse to, you know what I mean, facilitate an echo chamber. That is not what the block is about. This is literally like a New York block. Like everybody's gonna say what the fuck they want to say. Right. But I've gotten the little emails like, why did you let such and such say? I don't fucking let anybody do anything. What the fuck is, so I'm like, I don't give a fuck. And I know I'll get whatever feedback on this. Fuck off, hit like and subscribe or don't come back, whatever. It's all the same to me.
It's double Dutch on this show. It is double Dutch.
Right?
You gotta see where you jump in.
Right. A fuck off button added next to something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, no Saint. Listen, learn from No Saint. No Saint used to raise his hand on this bitch. You don't see him doing that anymore. No Saint used to be like, and I'm like, why are you raising your fucking hand? Like, fucking get in there. I'm not. Be like, now he's like, wait a minute, George.
Yeah, I'm learning that. It's kind of like you see me sticking my hand up like we're in class or something like that. And I'm like, okay, I need to.
No, get in there. Misty, hopefully we'll get you up here tomorrow for the Atheist versus Religion round 3. Okay, guys, so are we done with any last thoughts on this? This was an amazing stream and panel. Wow. Thank you so much to Ty. I feel so special he came here because your channel's blowing up. So I was like, let me get Ty while he can still see me in the comments.
Thank you. And you have my number. I'll always come on. I'm always open to coming on. But yeah, it is going great over there. My channel is taking off, and I'm having fun with it. So yeah. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna get out of here now.
What's your Instagram handle?
My Instagram is official Ty Rivera. So Ty spelled THAI though.
Gotcha.
But I'm gonna get out of here so I can finally make some food. And thank you guys. I appreciate everybody. No hard feelings at all. Nobody has to apologize. Feel free to talk shit once I log off.
Ty, wait a minute. We're gonna take every apology these white folk got, okay?
You're right. I was out of line.
All right.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Ty, thank you so much. All right, guys. So we're out of here. That was it. Please come back mañana for religion versus atheist versus religion round 3. Okay. Come with your arguments intact and get in where you fit in. You know, we don't pause for anybody. It's a fast paced night when we do atheist versus religion. Hopefully E Black will be back. Hopefully Spro will be here as well. So it's nice and colorful, but we are coming from a.
Uh-oh. Is that Jesus? Did Jesus cut her off?
I think so. That was divine intervention.
Please catch up on the block with Jen. She needs her internet paid off.
Cash app. Send cash app. Send money to cash
Where's
app.
Where's Tristan? He needs to capture this. He needs to capture this photo for his.
I say all the religious people to get together and pray.
There she is.
There you go. There you go. I'm back.
They prayed her back.
You can't stop me, bitch.
Prayer works. Prayer changes things. See?
Yeah. Don't forget, follow Ty Rivera. His YouTube channel is really off the chain. Like, listen, his lives, his streams are just as entertaining as his comment section. I mean, they be coming for him in the comment section. Very, very interesting.
They let my ass have it over here. Right now.
Very interesting. All right, guys. So we're out of here. Come back mañana. And we'll do some fluff tomorrow because there's still some fluff that I want to do. I can't ever get to. I haven't been able to get to it. But we will do it mañana. Okay? Okay. I truly love you all. Do we need to debrief?
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'll see you guys later.
Do we? Do we need
I'm
to
good.
I'm fine.
Okay, I do have one thing to say to Haran and No Saint, so hang back. Thank you, George, so much for your input. We will see you mañana. All right, guys. Please hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door. All right. Bye.